Take action, take action, take action, take action. But how do we go about it, right? You do it with 90-day goals and single-day action strategies. Check it out. Fam, what's up? We are back on the Business 101 series. Less business, more profits, lean, effective, strategic, and simple business. Let's break down goals and strategies, right? We're always talking about taking action. Take action, take action, take action. But how do we go about it? Sometimes it can be a little daunting, right? Especially when you know you have to set up goals and you got to tackle them within a specific time frame. But how do you actually do it? How do you break it down? What are the principles that you need to follow to actually break it down into actionable items that you can implement on a day-to-day? Let's talk about that. Before I do that, make sure that you subscribe, like, and share. If you like the content that I'm putting out there for you on a regular basis, do me a favor and make sure that you are subscribed. And if you know somebody who might benefit from listening to this stuff, send the video out, all right? Spread the love. With that being said, let's talk about the 90-day goals and then the one-day actions that need to happen for those 90-day goals that need to, that we're trying to accomplish, right? So what are 90-day goals? All right. I like the breakdown of 90 days just because it's quarterly, right? Everything, if you look at business in life in general, right? It's a lot of things are broken down into quarters. Seasons, we have financial quarters, we have all kinds of stuff, but it's a good breakdown. It gives you 4 shots at every single year to accomplish something, right? So it's not like, okay, cool. Next, think about it this way. This year, I'm going to lose weight, all right? Are you giving yourself the entire year or are you giving yourself a quarter, right? This quarter, I'm going to lose weight, all right? That's something, right? It just kind of gets you thinking to that faster, mode. And there's a really cool quote that says, if you give, and I think Elon Musk said it or something, but if you give yourself 30 days to clean the house, it's going to take you 30 days to clean the house. If you give yourself 3 days or 3 hours to clean the house, it's going to take you 3 hours to clean the house. All right. So it's important to understand that time constraints are important to goal achievement. Right. So 90-day goals, anything that you're planning on doing, if you want to increase the sales in your business, for the sake of the series that we're on. If you want to generate more leads, if you want to hire, if you want to outsource, if you want to delegate, whatever that goal is, break it down quarterly. All right, quarterly is a really good thing to just kind of keep everything measured in. And this is going to apply to any goal that you're trying to accomplish. Okay, evergreen content here. It's really a framework of operating when it comes to goal and then action strategy. Okay, the first thing. I want to recap, okay? I want to recap on SMART goals. You probably heard me talk about SMART goals in the past, but I like it. It's a very simple process. It's a very simple framework that allows you to clarify whether the goal that you're trying to accomplish, does it even make sense, right? Now, it gives you accountability measures, and it really forces you to ask yourself the right questions as to, okay, how do I need to break this down, okay? So 90-day goals, I like to set them up. Again, they're every 3 months you're crushing your goals, right? That's the idea behind the 90-day goals. They have to be specific. First, portion of SMART. So they have to be specific. It's got to be something that's clearly stated, okay? It's easy. It's not ambiguous. You can't miss it. You know what it is because it's super clear. In this case, we'll use the example of $100,000 in revenue in the next 90 days, all right? We'll go with that. Okay, is it measurable? This is the goal that we're trying to accomplish, right? It's very specific. We're trying to generate $100,000. Is it measurable? Yes, it is, because we know that we accomplish the goal when we get to the $100,000, right? Is it attainable? Based on your business model, can you sell, 50 widgets, right? And reach that $100,000 number? Is it attainable? Is it realistic to the process that you have in place? Or do you have absolutely no business in place, no nothing, no process, and you're trying to aim for $100,000 just out of the gate? Now, it's important to understand that goals and aspirations are 2 different things. Now, you also have to consider whether or not the resources that you have at your disposal are realistic, right? Can this goal be attainable based on what's readily available to you? Okay, that's what we're trying to do with goals, stuff that we can crush, right? Then, is it relevant? All right, is it relevant to the path, the overall path that you're trying to head in? right? For example, 100K. 100K in the next 3 months, is that relevant to a goal of $500,000 a year? Yes, it's relevant, right? It lines right up into it because it walks you through that process and it pushes you a step forward. So it is relevant. Now it's time bound. In this case, we're gonna keep it tight to 90 days, all right? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound, okay? Again, this little structure, SMART goals, I mean, it's nothing crazy. It's nothing, super original. I don't think enough people use it. I think a lot of people just kind of, throw their aspirations on the walls, but they don't create this structure or this path, for them, which can be an issue. Now, it just gives you some context, right? It gives you something to aim at. And now you have a clear 90-day goal in place after you go through this whole process. So take, 10, 15 minutes to craft something like that. And really clarify what you want to do because it matters, right? This is really going to dictate the actions that you're going to be taking day to day over the next 90 days. Now, here's where it gets interesting. What are the elements or the principles that we have to follow, right, on a day-to-day basis? And I think this is where most people get lost. I know this is where I got lost before I started doing anything like this, right? One day actions, all right? One thing that works for me is results versus time driven, right? This is one day. We already have the time figured out. We know that it's going to take us 90 days to complete, whatever it is that we need to complete. But what do we have to do on a daily basis to get there, right? For me, it's results, all right? My day is driven by results. There's certain things that I have to line up, that I have to accomplish, that I have to finish, and then that's the day, as opposed to time driven, right? Time driven can be a little tricky. If you say, I'm gonna work 8 hours, or I'm gonna work 10 hours, I'm gonna put in 16 hours today because it's what I gotta do to get this done. Again, going back to the same principle from the beginning, right? If you give yourself 30 days to clean your house, it's gonna take you 30 days. But if you give yourself 3 hours, it's going to take you 3 hours to get that done. Right now, the idea is results. You don't want to overwork and put in all that time and walk away with just taskiness and no results, right? So results driven. Anything that you do on a daily basis, especially if you're running a company, if you're the manager or the director of operations or the CEO, you want to be results driven as opposed to time driven. Okay. We're not clocking in and clocking out. We have the ability to craft the schedule, right? But we also have the responsibility to make shit happen as we're going through that process. So having a results-driven mentality as opposed to a time-driven mentality is going to serve you a lot better, all right? Don't overwork. It's part of that whole principle. If you get burned out, you get tired, you get demotivated, the shit doesn't pan out well. Now, max of 3. I like the maximum of 3. There's 3 main things that I got to accomplish. So every morning, actually a day before or night before, I'll sit down and I'll write down, okay, what are the top 3 things that I have to accomplish tomorrow? And I'll end up with this cool little list, right? Boom, 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 3 things. When I'm done with those 3 things, my day is done. Okay, that's when I move forward to something else. And sometimes, it can be something that takes, 3-4 hours to accomplish, maybe more, right? If that's the case, if it's something that's gonna take you the whole day, you end up with 1. But you end up with a max of 3. You don't want to overwork yourself. You don't want to stay there longer than you have to just because you're trying to accomplish that 90-day goal, right? So give yourself that time, give yourself that consistency. That's what that does. It gives you the consistency to operate. It gives you the consistency to stay on top of your 90-day goals every single day. You don't get burned out, you don't get tired, you don't get bored, all right? If you finish your 3 things, that's it, you're done. Go on, enjoy the day, and then come back the next day and crush it again, right? Be intentional about your time. Be intentional about, if you have 4 hours for the day, be intentional about that, all right? This max of 3 plays a lot into that. Be intentional about the actions that you're actually taking. Do these actions, the maximum of 3 actions, do those actions actually line up with the results that you want to get at the end of the day, right? Because we have one day, right? Tomorrow it's going to be a reset. It's not going to be an add-on to yesterday. It's a reset. It's another opportunity to start fresh. Be intentional about that. Control the time, manage the actions, and then focus on the results, right? It's easy to get sidetracked. It's easy to get distracted as we're going through the day and whatnot. And then next thing you know, you spent, an hour and a half on social media just looking at reels and shit like that. So it's about being intentional. Stay intentional with the tasks that you're doing because that's what's going to lead you to the accomplishment of that 90-day goal, right? I like that one. Mixed reviews on that, but you leave when it's done. This may come across as obsession, right? This may come across as overworking or workaholic, that sort of thing. in reality is hyper-focus. If you give yourself 3 tasks, 3 things to complete today, if you focus, if you do it right, if you play your cards, and of course you're logical, right? I mean, if one of these tasks is gonna take you 7 hours to complete, don't do 3 a day. Come on, be realistic. Keep that one and then move on to the next one. But when you have that in place and you're results driven, you're gonna be hyper focused on accomplishing that. And you don't go home thinking that you have 1,000 other things to finish. How many times, ask yourself the question, how many times have I gone home from a full day of work and I still feel under pressure because I have a shit ton of things in my head? Like, no, this is gonna help you out with a lot of that stuff, right? This max of 3 is gonna help you out with a lot of that stuff. Think about it, right? The feeling of loose ends gives us uncertainty. We don't want to feel uncertain. We don't want to feel like there's something pending or lingering over our heads. Whenever we go home, we spend time with the family, we spend time with friends, we want to go have a beer. Like that kind of stuff is just idling. But if you knock out the 3, it's almost like, I mean, that's the closest that you're going to get to clocking in and clocking out, right? But it's going to be a max of 3 important things. Be intentional about the 3 things that you choose to accomplish, and then get hyper focused on those, all right? Social media aside, distractions aside, you go in for work and then you have a couple of things that you have lined up, knock those out, switch your mindset from a time-driven mindset to a results-driven mindset, okay? Your days are gonna get a lot shorter and you're gonna feel a lot more productive, right? So these are some of the most important principles to just follow for your one-day actions. And it may take you 90 days to accomplish a goal, but it doesn't mean that we have to be scattered. It doesn't mean that we can't have a cadence to it and have a consistency building after it, right? And more importantly, build that discipline. How do you do it? You gotta follow some principles on a day-to-day basis, right? That's what it takes. You take those 90-day big, fat 90-day goals, and then you break them down into 90 itty-bitty pieces that include some of these principles. For more business strategy and entrepreneur advice, make sure you follow, subscribe, like, and share. Stay focused. You got this.